Hi everyone, today we will be taking a look at the possibility of a contested convention and how I think that this is actually getting more and more likely by the day. So for those of you who don't know, a contested convention, many media outlets would say that, that this is really every media outlet's favorite scenario for the primary, where there's a contested convention and no candidate is able to reach 50% plus one in order to be able to actually win the nomination. Because in order to win, you don't just need a plurality, you need a majority. You can't just get 40% of the vote if everyone else got 20. You need to actually get 50% of the vote plus one. So I would say a contested convention very much more likely this year. We've got a very fractured field, many different candidates still running. I would say there's still, 6 candidates who may have any sort of an outside chance at getting the nomination. Those being Klobuchar, Bloomberg, Sanders, Warren, Biden, and Buttigieg. So those 6 have even an outside chance of maybe getting the go-ahead to actually win this thing. But contested convention, I would say definitely more likely because of those high number of candidates. In 2016, not as likely because there's only 2 candidates. So unless the third place, Martin O'Malley got 0.2% nationally, right? Then you could see a scenario where both of them get exactly 49.9%. But even then, that's so very unlikely. Here, obviously, the math would say that it's much more likely for there to be a contested convention. As shown here, is a contested convention more likely? 538's average says, if you can take a look at this black line here. This black line, this is what 538 thinks is the contested convention likelihood. And then this is Bernie, and then the purple line is Biden. So Biden comes crashing down, Bernie sort of maintaining, but a contested convention going up, because Bernie surged and then he slumped. So it's sort of similar, right? But I would say definitely more likely. And then Wall Street Journal, I think this is Wall Street Journal, get ready for a contested convention. Superdelegates may end up deciding Democrats' 2020 presidential nominee. A contested convention looks even more possible after New Hampshire. So that's from CNN there, that second article. And this is pretty much why. Take a look at the winners of each state, right? So Iowa, winner in terms of the actual. Now, I've just put both in terms of the actual winner in terms of state delegate equivalents and the popular vote. In New Hampshire, it's the same, but in Iowa, Bernie Sanders, winner of the popular vote, Pete Buttigieg, winner there. And then in New Hampshire, obviously, Bernie Sanders is the actual winner. In terms of who the media said, oh, this person is actually the winner. In Iowa, it was Pete Buttigieg. I think that's fair. He was able to do better than people expected. And then the winner, the media anointed Amy Klobuchar again. I think that's fair. And Pete Buttigieg for their New Hampshire performance, right? And maybe Bernie Sanders as well. Winner for outperforming their polling. In Iowa, it was Pete Buttigieg. In New Hampshire, it was Amy Klobuchar. Notice there are only 3 names in this whole table: Bernie, Buttigieg, and Klobuchar, right? Okay, notice 2 national frontrunners, and yes, I do call them frontrunners because they were a frontrunner at one point in the race, who are not a winner in any metric in either state: Joe Biden and Elizabeth Warren. So Joe Biden, here's the thing about Joe Biden and Elizabeth Warren. Both of them you would have thought had a good running shot at the nomination, right? But they haven't been able to win either of the first 2 states on any metric in terms of the actual winner, the media anointed winner, and how they were able to outperform their polls. Both of them, except for Elizabeth Warren in Iowa, underperformed their polls, right? the media said, you know, they underperformed their polls. It's a bad night for Biden. It's a bad night for Warren. And the thing is, you would have expected those would be front runners at the nomination, but they haven't been able to win the first 2 states. So now it's really up in the air. Well, is it Buttigieg and Klobuchar? They did well in the first 2 states. Will they kind of rise up to take the place of Biden and Warren? I'm not so sure about that. I think Biden and Warren will stay in the race. But so then it really leaves the question, well, then the nomination's going to go to Bernie, right? Because Bernie is the one who was able to do it well in the first 2 states in the actual winner metric, not the media and not the outperforming polls metrics. And he's got a solid base of national support, and that's the main thesis why I say Bernie Sanders is the front runner for the nomination. So in terms of the centrists, right? National front runner, right? You can see here, this is pretty much what I was talking about earlier. Warren and Biden at the bottom of the pack in New Hampshire. Warren and Biden also close to the bottom of the pack in the state of Iowa, right? What does this mean? So in terms of the centrists, how do they go forward? If national front runners underperform, who will take their vacuum? Right now, it looks like Sanders will be the nominee. I would say that's the most likely situation right now. However, the candidates who performed well in the early states do not have a national profile, right? Klobuchar and Buttigieg not as doing as well nationally. The candidates who had a national profile, except for Bernie, did not do well in the early states. So if the centrists can stop Bernie, right, then no one is likely to get to 50% plus 1. And then there could be a contested convention, right? Because here's the thing, only with so many candidates, I hope I'm making sense here, with so many candidates, there's only so many ways the fractured field can break up, right? There's only so much support Bernie can get. If all those other people, all the centrists, Warren, Biden, Buttigieg, Klobuchar, Bloomberg, if they all get enough delegates in order to make Bernie not get the 50% plus 1 he needs, which right now he won't, he's at 23% in the national average of polls, then that's going to get interesting. But right now it seems that contested convention looks more and more likely because the centrists will keep splitting up the establishment vote. There's only so high Bernie can go. He might, because right now he's at 23, improving your performance by 100% is not hard. It's not easy, right? So it's a very interesting game. But right now, I would say number 1 scenario at the convention, Bernie becomes the nominee. Number 2 scenario, there is a contested convention, and number 3 scenario, I would say probably Joe Biden winning the nomination, but Joe Biden winning is like right down the bottom, right? Because he wasn't able to do very well in the first 2 states. So that's it for today's video, guys. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you all in the next one. And this is a interesting video. I did a PowerPoint, right, Google Slides thing, but I'll just leave it there at this title slide. But that's it for today's video, guys. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you all in the next one. Peace.